I've been building my own kingdom for everyone to see. It exists to keep me safe from harm, and it's intact to glorify me. Nobody helped me build this up. It was me and me alone. I've appointed myself as the king, and I've given myself the throne. But it turns out I'm no ruler, and I have no control. So I have decided to destroy it all. I'm tearing down the walls, kicking down the doors. Everything inside this kingdom is yours. 'Cause what I've made is worthless, and it cannot stand. Come and breathe some life into my empty, cold, dead ends. Down with the fickle king, away with this fantasy. You are the one I need. Death to the kingdom of me. Death to the kingdom of me. I should probably be frightened. This empire's all I know, but it always does more damage than good. I'm afraid it's gotta go. I know that I can't be trusted, 'cause I'm just a man. And if you hadn't given your life for me, a loser would be all that I am. You know they say just follow your heart. I'm afraid that's a load of trash. Your heart will take you down to deep, dark places where you feel like you'll never come back. So I'm coming out of the dark. This facade is I woke up.
It would have been one thing if we had gone in there. It would have been one thing if we had gone in there and Cam struggles. You know, rookie quarterback in his first start on the road against a top 3 defense in the league, right? That would have been one thing. That would have been one thing. That would have been expected. That would have been expected. I couldn't live with that. You know what else I could have lived with? If we go in there and it's just, you know what? We got out-talented. We got out-talented. The Broncos just have a better roster than us. We just couldn't quite hold up. That would have been one thing. I could have been fine with that. Could have been fine with it. But let me tell you what I'm not fine with, and what I will never be fine with is the fact that our quarterback is a rookie in his first start ever on the road against a top 3 defense, and he looked like the most prepared one there on offense. He looked like the only one who even knew what to do. The people around, he's having to drag the people around him into a situation where they can win the game. He's having to help them. The people that are supposed to be helping him are making his life worse. Welcome to the Two Tone Talk podcast, by the way, episode 172. The people around him are making his life worse. The people that are supposed to be helping are hurting. And he's having to help them. He's a rookie in his first start on the road against a top 3 defense in the league, and he's having to make up for their wrong. Now that I have slept on it, as Stanley Wilson in the chat, super chat, said we have Coach Klein from Waterboys, our head coach. As I said here, and I have slept on it now, I don't know what more you could have asked for from Cam Ward yesterday. I don't know what more you could have asked for from this kid. What more did you want him to do? When I sit here and I watch the play calling and the head coaching and the number one wide receiver on the team by far drop 3 passes. $100 million wide receiver drops 3 passes right in his hand. I don't know what else you want this kid to do. I don't know what else you want him to do. Did Cam make some mistakes yesterday? Are there some plays he wishes he could have back? Oh, I'm sure. But considering the situation he was in, I just don't. I mean, you saw Dan Orlovsky just a little bit ago on X posted and says, this Cam Ward tape that I'm watching, you know what he's going to say. The Titans failed Cam Ward yesterday. He didn't fail them. They failed him. And you know that Cam Ward, and if this mic is clipping, I'm sorry. I'm yelling, and this mic is up close to my mouth. I'm trying to keep it in reason here. But you know Cam Ward was sitting on that sideline yesterday thinking, so this is why they had the number 1 pick in the draft. This is why they had the number 1 pick. Okay. They suck. We suck. That's why we had the number 1 pick in the draft. Okay. That's why I'm here. That's why I got drafted here. That's why they had the number 1 pick, is because they're horrible. Let's talk about why they're horrible. The head coach. All offseason, I said my number 1 question mark regarding this team was the head coach, because he didn't do a good job last year. And I tried to just think, okay, maybe it was just first-time head coach, growing pains. I understand. That's what I wanted to believe. And the narrative all summer from Stephen A. Smith and all the national media was this poor Brian Callahan having to put up with Will Levis last year. This poor guy. The narrative that it was all Levis. Now listen, a large part of it was Levis. Some of y'all are using this as an opportunity to slam dunk and say, see, Levis was not the problem. No, Levis was the problem. One thing does not equal the other. Just because he wasn't the only problem doesn't mean he wasn't a huge problem. But he was not the only problem. If he were the only problem, everything would be fine now. It's not fine now because Brian Callahan's a problem too. Where do I even start with this guy? Where do I even start with this coach? A putrid. You could not have asked for a worse coaching performance to start this season. For a guy that's already on the warm seat, you could not have asked for a worse coaching performance than what you got from Brian Callahan yesterday in terms of play calling, in terms of situational awareness. This man on the Titans' opening drive on 3rd and 10 decided to run it up the middle. Why? Because he didn't want to put Cam in a position to be sacked or turn the ball over. So he hands it off on 3rd and 10. He hands it off, pretty much surrenders and says, we'll kick a field goal. Okay, but then later, we get in a goal-to-go situation where it's 2nd and goal from the 5. We run a jumbo set with Julius Chestnut. Instead of letting Cam try to make something happen, we try to run a jumbo set with Julius Chestnut. We end up kicking a field goal. And then, inside our own 10-yard line, with less than a minute to go in the half, 3 straight pass plays. 3 straight pass plays. We don't force the Broncos to use all their timeouts. We don't run any clock. We nearly get a safety, and we end up having to punt out of our own end zone, which results in a Broncos touchdown before the half. And his explanation behind that? Well, I was just trying to be aggressive. Just trying to be aggressive. Just trying to be aggressive. Hands it off on 3rd and 10 on the first drive of the game, but now you want to be aggressive. With less than a minute to go in the half, backed up inside our own 10. Now we want to be aggressive. Then, that sequence right there, that sequence before the half was enough. to make Amy Adams Strunk and Chad Brinker regret every decision they've ever made in their life. That right there. Because back in January when they fired Rand Carthon, do you want to remember what I said? Even before they fired Rand, when it was just rumors that they were going to fire Rand, I got to calm down. I said, if you're going to fire Rand, you may as well just fire Callahan too. Let's wipe the slate clean and start the whole thing over. But no, we believe in Callahan. And I've been saying all summer, I don't know. Well, now I do know. It was stupid to keep him. You should have just fired him with Rand. Because now we're going to have a fourth straight offseason of looking for a new head coach or GM. And the moment that sequence happened before the half with trying to throw it out of our own end zone, which resulted in a Broncos touchdown before the half, the moment that happened, I feel like Chad Brinker and Amy Adams Strunk had to be sitting in a room somewhere saying, great, we blew it. We kept him and we shouldn't have kept him. We blew it. And Mike Borgonzi is probably already sitting there thinking of different coaches' names that he wants to bring in once this guy, Callahan, inevitably gets fired. But we're not even done there. What about all of the first down runs? 1st and 10, run up the middle, 1 yard. Tale as old as time. That's Titans football, baby. It's apparently in the contract. When you become a head coach of the Tennessee Titans, it is a requirement for the job that we must run right up the middle on every 1st and 10, and it doesn't matter what precedes it. It doesn't matter if we just got an interception. It doesn't matter if we just recovered a fumble. It doesn't matter if we just got a turnover on downs. No, we must run it up the middle on 1st and 10 because that's the American way, apparently, for the Tennessee Titans. And then, do you want to know what Brian Callahan, did you listen to the reporter on Fox when she came back going into the second half and she goes, talked to Brian Callahan going into the locker room, and he admitted that a lot of the delay of game penalties and the timeouts that the Titans are having to take to avoid delay of game penalties are his fault because he admitted this, he's not getting the play in time to his rookie quarterback. Thanks for the help, Brian. Thanks for the help, bud. Appreciate it. Rookie quarterback against a top 3 defense on the road. You can't get the play in time. And I haven't even gotten to Alec Iomanor's catch. First and 20. Cam throws a beautiful back shoulder throw to Alec Iomanor, who comes down with his elbow. This beautiful elbow right here, right in bounds. They call it incomplete. The referees are bums. What are you going to do? They're awful at their job. We know this. But does Brian Callahan challenge it? No, he doesn't challenge it. He doesn't even consider challenging it. We just move on to the halfback dive that we run on 2nd and 20. We just move on to the next terrible play call. Because he's too worried about getting the play in on time because he hasn't been doing a good job of that so far. And then in the post-game press conference, he's asked about this, and you know what he said. He said, and I quote, "He didn't get a foot down in bounds, and 1 elbow does not equal 2 feet." That's what Brian Callahan said in the post-game presser. Wasn't a catch. 1 elbow does not equal 2 feet. Let me just show you something. Well, I can't show you, but I'll read it to you. This is Article 3, Section 1 of the NFL rule book, folks. It is considered a catch if a player touches the ground in bounds with both feet or with any part of his body other than his hands. If a player touches down with any part of his body, It is a completion. Someone help me. It's been a long time since I took anatomy. Is the elbow a part of the body? Remember Jonnu Smith in the playoffs against the Ravens when his butt cheek came down in bounds and it was a catch because one cheek equals 2 feet. If one cheek equals 2 feet, then I'm afraid one elbow also equals 2 feet. God help me. God help me. God help me. Then, I don't know if you guys checked out some of the film breakdown today. First of all, the Titans get an interception to start the second half. Broncos got the ball to start the second half. Bo Nix threw an interception. You want to know what the Titans did? After they got that interception, you want to know how they followed it up? 3 straight run plays. Count them. 1, 2, 3. 3 straight run plays right up the middle. We didn't even get a first down. We went 3 and out and kicked a field goal after that interception. Jolly old Brian. And then you want to know what happened. They muffed a punt. Denver muffed a punt. They fumbled a punt and we recovered it down to the 25. We got the ball at like the 25-yard line. And then you want to know what happened? Okay, Cam Ward took 2 sacks in a row that took us out of field goal range. Now, I know. I'm not here to just defend every move Cam makes and tell you that everything Cam does is right. But have you watched a little film breakdown today? Have you watched film breakdown that Tyler Rowland did? I know some of y'all get mad about Tyler, and Tyler's been fighting it out with Easton Freeze on X all day. That's their business. But Tyler Rowland did a breakdown of the route combinations that the Titans had on 2nd and 3rd down on that drive when Cam took the 2 sacks that took us out of field goal range. Just go watch them. Whether you agree with everything Tyler says or not, just go watch the film breakdown. You can mute Tyler if you want. You don't even have to listen to what Tyler says. Just watch the route combinations. And more importantly, consider the fact that Ali Udoh, a backup right tackle, had just had to come into the game because J.C. Latham was hurt. So we know we've got a backup right tackle going against this strong defensive front. Do the Titans do anything to help Ali Udoh and help him and give him a running back or a tight end to help him block that defensive end over there? Absolutely not. We run deep route combinations on both of those plays when those routes are not going to have time to develop because Ali Udoh can't block his man, and we know he can't block his man because if he could, he'd be a starter. We've got people running wheel routes. We've got people running verticals. Especially on the 3rd down play, all we needed was like 5 or 6 yards. You're playing for the field goal at that point. But instead, we've got people running deep outs. The route combinations, crap. The play calls, crap. The situational awareness, crap. The Titans came into week 1 as the biggest underdog of week 1. And not only can you look at this game and say, man, they could have won this game. I'll go you one further than that. They should have won this game. The Tennessee Titans should have won this game. They got 4 turnovers, 4 takeaways, and lost. You hear head coaches all the time in this league that say, man, you can't turn the ball over 4 times and expect to win. Well, Denver did yesterday. Denver did it yesterday. They turned the ball over 4 times and still won. We won the turnover battle by 3. We had 1 turnover. They had 4. And we still lost. $131 yards worth of penalties. 131 yards worth of penalties. That's not a new thing. If this was the first time that had ever happened, that would just be a bad day at the office. But that's not the first time that's happened. You remember the penalties all year last year and then all offseason this offseason, and Brian Callahan sitting there going, we're putting an emphasis on this. Well, you tell me, 131 yards worth of penalties. Almost had more penalty yards than you had yards on offense. Brian Callahan's seat was warm coming into the season, in my opinion. It's already engulfed in flames. This was as bad of a coaching performance as he could have possibly had. Absolutely horrible. And as far as L'Jarius Sneed you guys are asking about, I have no answers for you. He was on a snap count, which I guess included using up all of his snaps in the first half. You mean to tell me that you were so devoted to his snap count that you couldn't put him in on that play after we had the stupid situation where we nearly got a safety and had to punt it back to him, and we end up with Darrell Baker covering Cortland Sutton? You couldn't find it in yourself to put L'Jarius Sneed in for that sequence? Get out of here, dude. Get out of here. But the problem is, it's not just Callahan. It's not just Callahan. First of all, when you talk about the review, the catch that he should have reviewed that he didn't, you mean to tell me there was nobody up top that had the common sense to tell him you need to review it? Who are we employing in this organization? Who are we giving jobs to? That nobody up top understood that was a catch or even worth looking at? You could sit here all day and say, well, they wouldn't have overturned it. We'll never know. We'll never know if they would have overturned it because our coach didn't challenge it. If you're a player in this locker room, how are you supposed to feel about that? Not only did he not challenge it, but then he admitted in the post-game press conference that he didn't know the rules. He doesn't know the rules. He doesn't even know the rules of the game that he's coaching. Let's talk about some other people that failed Cam Ward yesterday, the people that are supposed to be helping him. Let's talk about Calvin Ridley. $100 million. $100 million, Calvin Ridley. 3 drops. 3 awful, disgusting drops by Calvin Ridley yesterday. And all summer, we sat here and said, well, at least we'll have Calvin. At least we know he's good. Calvin Ridley, you know what? I don't think he'd be a wide receiver 1 anywhere else in the league. After what I saw yesterday, I don't think Calvin Ridley would be a wide receiver 1 on any of the other 31 teams in this league. Not a one. But in Tennessee, he's wide receiver 1 because we paid him $100 million. Thanks, Ran. Appreciate it. Now we have this guy that can't catch anything. And it was a problem for him last year. The first half of the season, he was dropping passes like crazy. Then it got better in the second half of the season. And so we walked away and we said, okay, well, I guess it's better now. And he fixed it. No, he didn't fix it. He came back yesterday and failed his quarterback. And yes, the Jaguar fans tried to tell us, this boy will drop the ball. This boy will drop the ball. He dropped the ball both literally and figuratively yesterday. He literally dropped the ball 3 times, but he figuratively dropped the ball for Cam and for this entire organization. You are the one person here who cannot be dropping passes, and you dropped them. Pathetic. Pathetic display by Calvin Ridley. And don't even hit me. Don't hit me with this whole, well, Cam was throwing the ball too hard. Cam was throwing the ball too hard. You're getting paid $100 million. I don't care if he goes to North Korea and gets a nuke from Kim Jong-un and throws it at your head. You better catch it because you're getting paid $100 million. Good Lord. Throwing the ball too hard. Give me a break. And you know what? Calvin wasn't the only one. I told you all off season, I don't have a warm, fuzzy feeling about Dan Moore. I still don't. Gave up 4 pressures yesterday, had a big run by Cam that got negated for a holding call against Dan Moore. I don't feel any better about Dan Moore than I did before this game. In fact, I feel worse. $50 million left tackle. I know this is maybe the best defensive front the Titans will play all year, but I thought Dan Moore was no good. No good. And if you want to talk about people failing Cam Ward, I'm sorry, I like him, but Tony Pollard, you're going to fumble in the red zone? That's what I call failing your rookie quarterback in his first start. Tony Pollard fumbling, Calvin Ridley dropping passes, Brian Callahan that can't tell the difference between his anus and a hole in the ground is standing over there looking around like, well, we'll be aggressive on this drive when it makes no sense, but later on when we should be aggressive, we'll just run it out the middle 3 times in a row. They all failed him. They all failed him. Failed him. He tried. Somebody said, what were your thoughts on Cam Ward? You must have missed the first part of the episode. He tried. I don't know what more he could have done. He walked into that environment against that defense and stood tall and was calm, cool, and collected and didn't turn the ball over. I know he technically had a turnover on the last offensive play of the game. I'm not even going to hold that against him because he had 0.5 seconds to throw, and he just kind of flung the ball out there, and if it had been earlier in the game, they might have reviewed it and called it an incomplete pass. But either way, I'm not even going to count that one against him because that was desperation mode. He didn't throw any interceptions. He didn't do anything reckless with the ball. He made some great throws, and you're going to see that on film breakdowns all week. He made some great throws that are well beyond his years in this league. His first game, some of these throws he was making, filthy. But his team let him down. His team let him down. His coaches let him down. His teammates let him down. His offensive teammates, at least. Calvin Ridley let him down. Tony Pollard fumbling the ball in the red zone let him down. Brian Callahan, play calling, situational awareness at 0. They all failed him. They all failed him yesterday. He was the only offensive player that looked prepared. Have you seen this clip? And it's good to see Titans Rossi in the chat. I'm in a bad mood, Rossi. Have you seen the clip of when the Titans tried to run a wide receiver screen yesterday, and the 3 receivers to Cam's right were Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, and Chig Okonkwo? 3 players who should know better, and all 3 of them went to block instead of trying to catch the ball. Whoever that was supposed to be a screen to, they didn't know who it was, and they all 3 went to block, and Cam had to just throw it in the dirt because there was nobody there to catch it. Why is that happening? Because it happened a lot last year too. Why does this keep happening? And why does the rookie quarterback in his first game ever know more about what to do than the veteran players who have been playing for years? How is that possible? How is that possible? That Cam Ward, I know he got there at 5 a.m. every day this summer. Did nobody else? Did no one else? We're going to ruin this kid. We're going to ruin him if somebody doesn't figure this out. I haven't even talked about defense yet, but what more do you want the defense to do? What more did you want this defense to do? Let me say this about Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons had a stupid penalty at the end of this game. Dumb, inexcusable penalty that, yes, ticky-tack call, but they're going to call it every time, and it was just needless, pointless. He shouldn't have done it, and he should be better. But outside of that play, outside of that penalty, I thought Jeffrey Simmons was unbelievable yesterday. I thought he was unbelievable in this game. An absolute freak. That penalty is what people are going to remember because it was the last play, the last series he was on the field. But I thought Jeffrey Simmons was unreal. I thought Tavondre Sweat had a great game. Great game by Tavon. That stopping Bo Nix on that QB sneak, good Lord. I thought Tavondre Sweat was great. I thought Femi Oladejo had a great game for the Titans on defense. I thought Roger McCreary had a great game for the Titans on defense. I thought, the rest, Xavier Woods had an interception. Snead played like 2 series, and then they were like, okay, you're done. But, I thought the defense literally did everything they could. And I hope what happened last year doesn't happen again, because the defense started last season great, and then they got so, fed up with having to deal with this offense and special teams that they gave up. and I don't want to say gave up, but they just lost their gusto because this team drained it out of them. I hope that doesn't happen again because I thought this defense did more than enough to win. Got 3 turnovers, and I know the other turnover was on special teams, but got 3 turnovers. They deserved better. They deserved better. Denard Wilson yesterday deserved better. And that defense, Big Jeff, Sweat, McCreary especially, those guys deserved better. Now, Jarvis Brownlee, I've been saying it all year. I like him, and I think he's a good player, but the penalties have got to stop, dude. The penalties for Jarvis Brownlee have got to stop. I mean, you can say they're bad calls all you want, but you know they're going to call it every time when you play that aggressively. You've got to stop. You've got to stop with these penalties. Okay. Special teams. Chimere Dike, great job yesterday. Johnny Hecker, great job yesterday. Joey Sly, great job yesterday. The special teams, if you're looking for a silver lining, the special teams was a heck of a lot better than it was last year. Good. All the problems are offensive. The tale as old as time. It's the same story every year. Same story every year. All the problems are on offense. Play calls are stupid. The schemes are stupid. The route combinations are stupid. And the only one who knows what they're doing appears to be the quarterback who has now played in 1 NFL game. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. The only silver lining is that Cam Ward has made a living. Cam Ward has made a career off of making lemonade out of lemons. He has responded to adversity his entire career, and he has done it well. Well, buddy, you're going to have to do it again because you got drafted to the Tennessee Titans, and Brian Callahan is your coach, so you're going to have to figure it out again. You're going to have to. Because you thought Incarnate Word was some adversity. You just go ahead and get ready. You just go ahead and get ready. Because you're going to have to rally the troops. You're going to have to do something. Because it ain't coming from the head coach. I know that. I'm sure Brian Callahan's a nice guy, but he looks in over his head from start to finish. And you know what? If you had told me the Titans are going to lose an 8-point game to the Broncos, you could have even told me the final. It's going to be 20-12. I would have said, you know what? Fine. I'll take that. I'll take a competitive 1-score loss. But the nature in which we got there is what concerns me the most. You can have Cam go in there and struggle in his first start against that defense. You can have a situation where you just get out-talented by the Broncos because they've got a better roster than you. You can have that, and that's fine. What cannot happen is that this team loses because their coach doesn't know what they're doing, and he quite literally doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't even know the rules. He doesn't even know the rules. And now he's getting ready to do a press conference where he's going to have to answer for the fact that he doesn't know the rules. You can lose because of a lot of different reasons, but it can't be because your coach doesn't know what he's doing. The Titans don't have a good enough roster, and they're not good enough to overcome that. What did we say all offseason? The Tennessee Titans are not good enough to go out there and beat themselves and overcome it. They've already done it. They've already done it once. They beat themselves again. They shot themselves in the foot again. They snatched defeat from the jaws of victory again. Again. They are starting the season the same way they did last year. Last year it was because of Will. This year it's because of Callahan. Eventually, I got to look at the coach because you can't blame it on Will anymore. You can't make Will the only problem anymore because, Callahan's obviously a problem too. I gotta go lay down or something. I got to go lay down or something. It absolutely destroys me that our quarterback came in and played as well as he possibly could considering the circumstances, and we lost because everybody else around him failed. Everybody else around him dropped the ball, literally. So if anybody's going to turn this thing around, it's going to have to be Cam, because it ain't going to be Callahan. I'm done for today. We'll be back on Friday at 1 Eastern, noon Central, to preview Titans-Rams, the home opener. Give me hope. Tighten up, everybody.